My mother threw me out and called me a disgrace when she found out I was pregnant. Now she wants to be in my daughter's life after learning who the father is. At just 18 years old, I delivered news that didn't just break my world. It utterly annihilated it. My own mother, the woman who was supposed to protect me, gave me 2 hours to pack. 2 hours to disappear, pregnant and utterly alone, because I'd chosen my path, and now I could face the consequences. I can still feel the cold concrete of our front steps against my legs, 2 garbage bags overflowing with my entire life beside me. The click of the locks changing echoed in my ears, a final brutal declaration. And just like that, I was homeless. The father? A one-night connection during freshman orientation. A blur named Alex from Switzerland, whose last name, number, and school I never even knew. After that night, he simply vanished. So I dropped out. My dreams gone. I moved into a shelter, a place crawling with a different kind of fear, and eventually, I had Jana alone in a county hospital. No family, no friends, just me, a terrified teenager, and my newborn daughter. While I fought for survival, my mother was busy rewriting history, telling anyone who'd listen that I'd run off to be a stripper in Vegas. The sheer betrayal of it still makes my stomach churn. What followed were 5 years of absolute hell. 5 years where every single day was a desperate, grinding war for survival. I waited tables at a diner, enduring leering customers and their unwelcome touches for measly $2 tips. Our home was a studio apartment, a mold-infested box with roaches for company. Jana, my precious baby, slept in a dresser drawer because a crib was a luxury I simply couldn't afford. I relied on food stamps and WIC, walking 4 miles to work because the bus didn't run early enough for my shifts. And through it all, my mother lived less than 20 minutes away in her spacious 4-bedroom house. She never called, never visited. She told our family I was dead to her. My younger sister Denise was my only secret lifeline. She'd meet me in parks, slipping me clothes for Jana from consignment shops, but she was terrified. Mom had threatened to cut her off too if she helped me. But I refused to break. I was a mother, and failure wasn't an option. I earned my GED online, late at night after Jana was asleep. When she turned 3, I started community college. I found better waitressing jobs, saved every single penny, and finally moved us into a safer apartment, away from the mold and the roaches. Jana was my constant inspiration, brilliant, funny, reading at 4, doing basic math before kindergarten. Everything I did, every breath I took was for her. Midway subscribe line. By the way, if you're still with me on this roller coaster of a story, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next. And trust me, there's always something unbelievable happening. Then, last month, he walked into the restaurant. An expensive suit, a subtle Swiss accent, and eyes that kept finding mine. He finally asked if I'd gone to State University 5 years ago. My heart literally stopped. It was Alex. But now he was Alessandro Moretti, heir to a luxury hotel chain across Europe. He'd been searching for me for 2 years, ever since his cousin stumbled upon my picture in the university's orientation archive. He'd hired investigators, scoured social media, spent thousands trying to find the American girl he'd spent one night with, because he couldn't forget me. I told him about Jana, showed him her picture. He cried, right there in the restaurant, a raw, guttural sob that ripped through me. His father had been pressuring him to marry someone, anyone, to secure the family legacy, but Alessandro had refused. He couldn't shake the memory of the drunk girl who quoted Shakespeare and laughed at his terrible jokes. He wanted to meet Jana immediately. Within a week, my world was unrecognizable. He set up a trust fund for her, bought us a beautiful house, and insisted on back-paying 5 years of child support at an astounding $10,000 a month. His family flew in from Switzerland, embracing Jana as if she'd always been part of their lives, showering her with presents and genuine affection. And that's when my mother reappeared. She showed up at my new house with a bouquet of flowers and a flood of crocodile tears. She'd been wrong, she sobbed. She'd missed us so much. Family should forgive. My stomach clenched. I knew that act, that sudden, sickening warmth. The neighbors with their Mercedes sightings and Swiss license plates, the delivery trucks from high-end stores. She'd done her research. She knew exactly who Alessandro was and what his family was worth. She wanted to be part of Jana's life now that Jana came with a trust fund and Swiss finishing school potential. I let her in, let her talk. She went on and on about second chances, about how young I'd been, how she'd only wanted what was best. Then she saw a framed picture of Jana with Alessandro's family at their Swiss estate, and her eyes, they weren't sparkling with love, but with dollar signs and Swiss luxury. We should plan her 6th birthday together, she chirped. Maybe in Switzerland. I've always wanted to see Geneva. Just then, Alessandro walked in from the kitchen. He'd heard everything. My mother practically glowed, extending her hand, ready to gush about her precious granddaughter. Alessandro looked at her outstretched hand like it was something vile, something contaminated. "You're the woman who threw out your pregnant daughter?" he asked quietly. My mother stammered, blathering about tough love and teaching responsibility. Alessandro, still perfectly calm, pulled out his phone. He showed her something. Her face went utterly pale. "This," he stated, his voice quiet but cutting, "is the police report from the shelter where your daughter spent her first month homeless. It lists her as an abandoned youth. This is the social services file showing she applied for emergency housing while 8 months pregnant. And this," he swiped to another screen, "is the hospital record confirming she gave birth alone, listed as indigent. Would you like me to continue?" My mother tried to explain, but Alessandro cut her off. He swiped again, displaying a shelter intake form with my name at the top and a red checkbox next to abandoned minor. "Or," he continued, his voice still quiet but colder now, "would you like me to continue through the 5 years of documentation my investigators compiled?" I stood frozen in the kitchen doorway, my hands gripping the frame, watching her face cycle through excuses. She mumbled about not understanding, about thinking I'd figure it out, about being angry and scared herself. Alessandro scrolled through more screens, hospital records, social services files, presenting them like undeniable evidence in court, never breaking eye contact. My mother's carefully applied makeup started to run as tears mixed with foundation. She pivoted hard, reaching for me with trembling hands, saying she'd been so scared, made a terrible mistake, thought about me every day. I stepped back before she could touch me, my voice, to my own surprise, surprisingly steady. "You need to leave. Now." Alessandro moved beside me, his presence solid and supporting as I walked to the front door and opened it. My mother stood in the middle of my new living room, looking between us, utterly disbelieving. She asked if we could just talk, if I could give her a chance to explain properly. I just held the door open, my heart pounding, but my hand didn't shake. She gathered her purse and the forgotten flowers, walking past me, head down, tears streaking her cheeks. I watched her get into her car and pull away, then close the door, leaning against it for a long, heavy moment as my legs felt weak with the aftermath. Later, Alessandro and I sat at the kitchen table, Gianna sleeping peacefully upstairs. He apologized for ambushing me with the documents, explaining they were compiled during his search for me, a full, brutal picture of what I'd endured. He'd kept them in case I ever needed proof. We talked through what came next, my hands wrapped around a mug of tea that had long gone cold. I expected him to push for immediate family involvement, but he surprised me, suggesting we start with legal paternity confirmation. He wanted everything official, protected. Gianna and I deserved that security after managing alone for so long. 2 days later, we met Leah Mercer, a sharp, no-nonsense lawyer Alessandro had hired specifically to represent my interests, not his. She walked us through a court-admissible DNA test, detailing how she'd built in safeguards, like the house going into my name with legal protections and back child support held in escrow until paternity was confirmed. My hand ached, but with every signature, I felt a layer of steel solidify around Gianna and me. My phone buzzed. Denise warning me our mother was calling every relative, claiming I was keeping Gianna a secret out of spite. The old fear of isolation hit me, that ingrained terror of being cut off and alone. But then I remembered. Most of those relatives had believed I was a Vegas stripper anyway. They'd never reached out when I actually needed help. I sat with Gianna later that evening, explaining in simple terms that a friend from Europe wanted to meet her. She asked if he was nice. I told her we'd find out together slowly. I didn't use the word father yet. Nothing was official, and I wouldn't make promises I couldn't keep. Our first meeting was at a park. Alessandro, thoughtful and gentle, brought a simple soccer ball. Gianna was shy, clinging to my leg, but curious. I watched him keep everything age-appropriate and honest, answering her questions about Switzerland and McDonald's like she was a real person whose thoughts mattered. That willingness to hear me and adjust his thinking mattered more than any gift he could buy. Days later, my mother left another voicemail. "I forgive you," she declared, "for keeping Gianna from me all these years." Bone-deep exhaustion settled in. I didn't call back. Not responding felt better than trying to explain myself one more time. The fear of her escalating resurfaced, so I drove to the public library, the same one where I'd studied for my GED. I researched grandparent rights, writing down statutes and filing requirements. The act of gathering information, turning dread into action, made the fear feel smaller, more manageable. I learned to set firm boundaries, even with Alessandro. When he suggested a $3,000 dollhouse, I explained that experiences mattered more than expensive things. He listened, and we planned a trip to the science center instead. And when the DNA results came back, confirming what we already knew, we carefully told Gianna. She processed it quietly, then asked if this meant she had grandparents in Switzerland. It was a tender, vulnerable moment, and we promised her she controlled the pace. We sought professional help, a child therapist for Gianna to navigate these huge changes. I was learning that asking for help wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. It was protecting Jana from being overwhelmed by adult situations. My mother, though, continued to test. She showed up at Jana's school, trying to inquire about pickup procedures. My protective anger flared. Through Leah, I sent her a no-contact letter, a gut-wrenching decision that brought guilt, but also a profound sense of power. I started a private journal, documenting every interaction, transforming the chaos into organized facts. My sister, Denise, finally found her voice too. She started setting boundaries with our mother, refusing to mediate, refusing to listen to complaints. It felt good to have an ally who truly understood. The mediation session with my mother was brutal. She cried, stammered excuses, but I stood firm, making her acknowledge specific actions, kicking me out, changing the locks, refusing contact, spreading lies. She struggled, but eventually wrote it all down, a long, painful list of her betrayals. I accepted it as a first step, not absolution. We set strict conditions for any future contact with Jana, 6 months of therapy, written accountability, respecting every boundary. Training wheels that wouldn't come off until she'd proven herself trustworthy through sustained action. Jana's birthday party at the park was simple, fun. Alessandro, now my co-parent, helped with streamers and games on a dollar store budget. My mother arrived for her supervised 30 minutes, no gifts, no drama. She smiled when Jana waved, then left exactly when she was supposed to. Watching her go, I felt something unexpected. Not forgiveness, but maybe the beginning of hope. The community college acceptance letter arrived. Business fundamentals, English comp, intro to accounting. The schedule fit Jana's kindergarten hours, and the financial stress that used to crush me was gone. I could afford textbooks without choosing between them and groceries. This future, the one I'd fought for through 5 years of hell, was finally becoming real. Not because someone rescued me, but because I'd clawed my way to it, and now I had the support to make it happen. The ground felt solid under my feet for the first time in 6 years. Alessandro left for Switzerland, but we had a system. Video calls, stickers on a calendar Jana herself created. His absence became manageable, not scary. My mother kept going to therapy, providing proof, adhering to our strict, slow pace. The lack of manipulation surprised me, a cautious flicker of genuine change. Denise and I built our own relationship, independent of our mother's shadow. Late one evening, after Jana fell asleep, I sat in our quiet apartment. So different from those first nights in the shelter, when Jana slept in that dresser drawer. The memories of mold, roaches, customer grabs, walking 4 miles in the dark, they didn't fade. And I didn't want them to. I needed to remember where we'd been, so I would never take this stability for granted. Gratitude and caution lived together in my chest, both equally real and necessary. Our new normal was messy, structured, and completely ours. Jana had 2 parents who talked respectfully, who put her needs first, even when it was hard. She had a grandmother earning her way back in with strict boundaries. An aunt who was becoming a real friend. And she had a mother who'd survived hell and built something solid, who knew exactly how much it cost to get here. Everyone ended up in a steadier place than where we started. Not perfect, but genuinely better. And that was enough for me. I've walked through fire to get here. I'm stronger now, but it wasn't easy. What would you have done if your own mother had shown up demanding access, acting like nothing happened? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to know.